Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Shelf Help, a podcast powered by Settle. And at Settle, we're all about empowering the people behind the consumer brands that shape our world. And this show is an extension of that mission. We're going to dive into the real stuff, the stories, the mess, and the mental health strategies that help founders grow fearlessly. Today, I am joined by the lovely Leanne, who is the co-founder of WHIMS. So basically, after navigating some serious personal health journeys that inspired a complete lifestyle and dietary change for her, she teamed up with her husband, Jesse, to reimagine classic sweets without the added sugar and all the nostalgia, which I love personally. And by the way, I'm a big fan of the dark chocolate cups, so whenever you want to bring them to Foxtrot, we're waiting. But so together they built WIMS from scratch, learning about the ins and outs of CPG as the first time, because Leanne's background is actually in HR, right?
Yep. I'm related.
So lots of lessons learned, I'm sure. They've scaled already into hundreds of stores and stay very, very rooted in community, which I think is so much easier to do when you're in a city like Austin, which is so community heavy, so CPG heavy. But yes, welcome to the show, Leanne. And let me know if I missed anything that you wanted to add in about WIMS.
No, you covered it all. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and be part of the conversation.
Yeah.
So exciting. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you view, when you think about you starting this brand from a physical wellness standpoint, were there any unexpected improvements to mental health as a result of doing it, right? Because it's I don't know what your relationship was to HR and if it was really something that you always wanted to do, right? Versus building a business with Jesse, but what has been maybe some unexpected mental health benefit? I'm sure there are probably a list of mental health struggles that come along the way, but was there anything when you think about it? Because I think sometimes we do focus on physical wellness, right? And all the things that make us physically feel better, but what about emotionally and mentally? What's been really great for you now that you're building WIMS?
I am so happy that you asked this question, because I was just talking to Jesse about this, that every day I wake up and I'm excited to do it. And it sounds super cheesy. I know it does. And also I get really pumped about the things that I get to do. Firstly, we make chocolate. So that is just in itself exciting. And then we get to share it with other people. So all of those things, interacting with people, getting to hear people's feedback, going to events, talking to different buyers, this gets me so excited. And also the learning, right? I did not come from a CPG background. And so the learning piece, doing something new, exercising different muscles, it gets me so excited. And so from a mental health perspective, I would basically summarize, learn something new every day, because it truly helps. You wake up and you feel so excited and inspired to do what you're about to do for the day.
I love that, right? Because how many people are probably struggling with their mental health, and sometimes it just takes changing your job, doing something that you have more creative control with, to put you in completely different spirits. Because it's when you are working or building something, you're spending 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, probably more, in your case, doing this. And so it's so important to feel invigorated when doing it. And I think that's so cool to hear you say that. Now, of course, you are the first person I'm talking to who is building something with their husband. And I think for this episode, if it's okay to kind of, focus on that, and I'm so curious to hear how that's really benefited your guys' relationship overall, because it's you think about moving through milestones with somebody. I've been with my partner for 14 years, and it was just you like fall in love with different versions of them in
Oh,
those moments. You know
yes.
what I mean? Like, because
Yes.
they're different people in all those stages in a way, right?
Yes.
Like, what, like, are you like re-falling in love with Jesse as like Jesse the co-founder? Like, is
Oh
there
my
like a feeling of like, oh wow, I haven't seen this side of you before, you know?
Absolutely. And I think in this particular role, and granted, we tried to work together back in my HR days. Like he had an executive search firm. And so there were moments where we were like, oh, we could really like find ways to collaborate together. It was a disaster. It did not work. It was not our best version of ourselves coming together. In this way, like through WIMS, I think watching us be able to do the things that we're great at and leveraging those skills in this new setting has been so much fun for us. Like Jesse often comes to me and says, "Oh my gosh, that was so cool to watch you do that. I've never seen you do that." And it's the same for me to him. Watching him, you know, have these conversations where I'm like, "Man, I have no idea what you just said, but that sounded super, super cool." Has been really great for us because we're experiencing each other
So
in a
cool.
different way and learning how to work together to leverage each other's strengths instead of like focusing on the things that maybe we can't do. We can tag each other in.
Yeah.
So it's been so good.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. And this is actually another question I asked Jason at Actual Veggies because his wife Cassie is like also very involved with the brand. But it's like, is there a moment where you're like 1 hour at the table, we're not talking about whims, or is it always like, no, like there's so much exciting stuff to talk about, you know? Like, because I don't think there's like a right or wrong answer per se. I think it's just
Yeah.
whatever works for like the couple, honestly. But do you guys have any strategies if that is the case where you're like, okay, like let's just focus on like everything else going on in our lives right now?
Yeah, I think we don't have like a structured time where it's like no work conversations because sometimes it's just like in the space, but we try to communicate it with each other. If you're like, I'm done. I'm done. I cannot have any more work conversations. I need to pivot and talk about something else, or I need bonding time right now. Can you please come and talk to me about something completely different? Or can we go for a walk? Or can we just watch that movie? No work talk. Like we have to communicate it to each other. So it happens throughout the day where either him or I are like, we're done. Like I just need a timeout. And we just communicate it to each other. But
I love that.
we bring it up like from 5 a.m. in the morning, work to when we go to
Right.
bed, we're just like constantly pinging each other.
Totally. I love that too, because it's not something that needs to be like a hard and fast rule. It's
Yeah.
just like you guys are in a flow state. So it's like if you feel like
Definitely.
you are like a place where you're like, hey, you know, maybe I'm missing like a unfulfilled need around just spending
Yeah.
time with you like
Connection.
outside of this business, the
Yeah.
connection aspect, right? Then you're like, hey, let's not connect in this way, like let's connect in other ways, right?
Yes. Let's not be
Which
colleagues.
Right,
You know?
right, exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
and I think like what you said was super on point, right? Like it could be something as simple as like, hey, let's go on a 20-minute walk, you know,
Yeah.
um, or let's watch a movie together, right?
Yeah. Our
Um,
favorite thing to do.
yeah. Is there anything you've seen recently that you want to call out? Ooh, have you seen Sinners? That was good.
No,
Um,
we have been watching this show. What is this show? See, I can't even. Oh, well, we've been watching Studio, of course.
yeah.
Everybody's been watching it. That's so weird. We're hardcore on that. But what is that show right now where it's like it's like a zombie apocalypse? You've seen it. Oh, what is it called?
Oh,
The
what's his
Last of
name's
Us?
in
What
it?
is
I
it?
know this isn't helpful.
I know. I'll find it, but I just
Yeah.
don't know it off the top of
So
my head. I just know it on the screen.
zombie apocalypse. But
Yeah.
I love that because it sounds like, hey, I want to just like put myself into something that's a complete different
Yes.
reality.
Yes, we are currently fighting zombies, or like it's like something to do with mushrooms, cordyceps taking over people's brains, and
Right. That's gonna bother me. I
I
think
know, you know.
Pedro Pascal or
Yes,
yeah,
he's
right?
so good at it. He's so good in it. It's just like mind-boggling that I'm into this show of like almost the same, you know,
No,
typical
absolutely.
zombie apocalypse thing.
It was The Last of Us. There we go.
The Last of Us.
So good. Such a good one to call out. So if you need like a minute to just step away and from being a CPG founder or founder in general, like, maybe do something that's the complete opposite of what you do or watch something that is
Yes.
the complete opposite of what you usually see.
Yes.
That's amazing. I love that. And I kind of wanted to like get an understanding of like, especially because it's the two of you, right? And I'm sure there are times that you guys are maybe at odds with one another when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to making a decision.
Yeah.
How do you guys typically handle that? And, is there anything that has worked for you specifically, like a strategy that has worked for you guys in managing sometimes when you're like, maybe you have a creative difference, maybe,
Yeah.
you want to take on the opportunity of launching into this retailer versus this retailer. Maybe one of you wants to do it all at once and one of you is like, hey, pump the brakes, let's slow down.
Yeah.
How does that get handled?
Weirdly, we don't have a lot of conflict in our decision making. So we
That's
might
great.
have a different position
Right.
in the conversation where we're like, what do you think about it? But we're never like definitively making a decision and saying, I'm stuck on this. We're always kind of open to hearing the different perspectives. And so we kind of ping it back and forth. No, I think this. And he'll be like, well, actually, I've heard this. And then sometimes what we do is we actually go away and talk to a few other people, get their thoughts, bring it back and see, hey, has our perspective changed? And then we make a decision. But we've always kind of made a decision together and we feel pretty good about it together. There's never been any conflict there, which we feel very lucky about. We just talk a lot through different decision ideas. And then if we can't come up with a decision ourselves or we feel like we're kind of stuck, we really reach out to our community and ask, what do you know? What have you heard? And see if that changes our position to help us get there.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like when I was hanging out with you guys at Expo West, I got to see that live and direct, right? Because
Yeah.
there were some like logistical issues like you were dealing with, you were like, oh man, like what about this? What about that? And so I love it because you know what? I just see like this wonderful foundation of respect that you guys have for one another. And I
Yeah.
think that really, really is helpful. Um,
Yeah. We're like
y-
best friends
I know.
before, being
Right.
husband and wife, which is
Totally.
so special. And we try to
Totally.
keep it special.
Absolutely. That's so, so important.
Yeah.
Um, Now, kind of shifting gears a little here, I was kind of curious to hear more about something we haven't talked about is
Uh,
your career transition going from HR to CPG. I mean, and I'm just thinking about it from the perspective of, was there imposter syndrome where you're like, can I do this? Right? Because like a lot of people think like, I think when they think about starting their own business, they want to do something that maybe is a little bit more comfortable for them, right? I have experience
yeah.
with this. I'm familiar with this, right? Um, and at the end of the day, like if you have a problem to solve and you can figure it out, like why not, right? Tell me what was kind of your overall thoughts and thought process going through that when the idea of WIMS even came about, because you
Yeah.
had such an extensive background in HR.
Yeah, there was nothing that I could see coming from HR to CPG that made any sense. That would be like, this is a transferable skill. I could not see it in the moment. It's like, okay, outside of being an excellent snacker, I can taste stuff and know if I like it or not. I mean, beyond that, I was just like, you should hire people to do this. This is a bad idea. But once I started getting into it, I think the thing that I learned that I didn't understand would be a transferable skill is working in HR previously in different organizations. And for the last probably 10 years of my career, I was working primarily in a lot of startups, early stage organizations, places where there wasn't a whole lot of structure or process in place, and then helping build some of those things, or figuring things out. It's like, we don't know what's happening here. We haven't known for a while. Figure that out. that was kind of what I loved doing. And so having that opportunity to flex into WIMS and learn how to do operations, customer support, order fulfillment, how do you even get into retail? Like, what are all the mechanics of doing the things that we do day to day? And we're still not perfect. We're still learning, but learning how to, be satisfied with version 1, then kind of like version 2 as you grow. I think those things, that skill has been really helpful for me as I moved into this role.
I love like so many of the things that you touched on, because I think something that I see a lot of founders struggle with initially is like kind of trying to control everything all at
Yeah.
once, and you're wearing many hats. But I love that you already had that clarity where you were like, no, let's try to figure, like, we know we're not the subject matter experts on this particular topic. So it
Yeah.
was a lot easier to be like, hey, maybe there's somebody here who knows how to do this better,
Yeah.
which I think is a wonderful positive in the
Yes.
situation, where you're kind of like, which has probably led to a lot of like the acceleration in your guys' growth, because you're just
Yeah.
kind of like, why are we going to try to do this when it maybe might take us like 2x the time?
Yeah.
And sometimes I think, I'm sure as a founder you're thinking about like just the money resource, not often thinking about the time resource
Yes.
of like, hey, if we do this, sure, it might be cheaper, but time wise, like how much time are we going to spend compared to paying somebody who can maybe do this in half the time,
Yes.
who knows how to set up this system. So
Yeah.
I love that you called that out.
I mean, that is a Jesse skill that he's trying to like ingrain in my head, because I'm that person who's like, oh, you don't know how to do that? Okay, let's figure that out. Let's Google it. Let's, chat GPT it at this stage,
Right,
right?
right.
So
But I think it's good to have a balance of that though, because there are probably some things that thankfully, thank you AI gods, please don't come after me if the
something
robots, like,
happens. I don't,
please, right? Please don't come.
sorry.
Y'all the best. No, but to now leverage those resources, because I think there is a way to be tactical about that and be like, hey,
Yeah.
yeah, this is something AI can handle, but this is something we need a human for, right?
Yeah.
For sure. I love that. And I do think though, like the transferable skill coming from HR is, Leanne, you are so wonderful with people. And that is such a big part of why you've seen so much success like early on, like building those relationships. You've probably, like, being in HR, have dealt with so many different personalities, like,
Including
you know,
Jesse.
right? And so I can't imagine, like that is such a great superpower to have, and
Yeah.
to take that on, and be able to, one, like, manage the people that you're working with in a very healthy way, right? Because I'm sure you're exercising that muscle more than you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
uh,
You know what? I think we're so lucky we have a great team. And so it like we seem to work really well together, which is nice, but you're right. It's like, but outside of that, we're constantly working with external vendors and clients and partners, and you have to like be able to learn how to communicate to all those different personalities.
yeah, absolutely.
So many.
I know, right? And I know, like, just following you guys on LinkedIn, I love seeing all of the posts of how, like, dialed in you are to the Austin community. I
Yeah.
think for founders that are maybe a little afraid of diving deep into that community, maybe they just don't know how to, like, if you're in like whether you're in a CPG city or not, right? Because
Yeah.
there are those hubs, but then there are other markets as well that are definitely growing. Um, talk to us more about how valuable that's been for you, for WIMS,
Hmm.
and like a city, like what makes Austin so special in that regard.
Oh my gosh, do we have like another hour?
Right?
Austin is so amazing. So we didn't know what we didn't know about Austin. Like we had heard this is a really great CPG hub. And so we were living in LA at that time. We were there for about 18 months. And when we moved to Austin, we didn't know a single person. We just decided we're gonna go.
Wow.
And we just kind of immersed ourselves in the community, just checked out like what are the local events? Who are the people that we should connect with who are hosting these events so we can get, invited and go show up. And the more we showed up, the more people we met, and there was no expectations. And this community is so special because you really feel the the whole community kind of like come around you to try to find ways to support you, elevate the brand, have conversations with other people, champion you as a human being, as a founder, then as a brand as well. And it's been so special. We feel like a lot of the people that we've met along the way have become friends. And that in itself is special because as a founder, sometimes it feels a little bit lonely. You don't know who to talk to. And having other people who are kind of building something similar in different categories and different, realms, has been so helpful for us to just like maintain our sanity as we're building WIMS. And so just the community has been so helpful in not even just opening doors, but just to help us feel grounded in what we're doing and to continue to support like the momentum of what we're trying to build.
That's
I hope that makes
amazing.
sense.
Yeah, no. Is there like a specific example you can think of, like where somebody's really helped like move the needle for you recently, because you guys really focused on that community aspect?
Yeah. What has it been? So we had an event that we knew nothing about it. Somebody was just like, hey, just through the network of people that we've met. His name is Mark Nathan. He's amazing. He hosts a lot of cool CPG events here in Austin. But he was just like, hey, we're looking to host this like impromptu event in Austin. Somebody's coming into town. We really want to support it and make sure it's like we bring a bunch of founders in here and make it a fun event. And he cut like we volunteered to host it at our place, and because of that we met some really interesting folks,
So
one
cool.
being another brand founder. I don't know if you'd want me to share the brand specifically, but we were really dealing with a problem internally that we couldn't figure out how to solve. And he had that immediate, solution. He was like, oh, I
Wow.
went through the same issue and let me tell you, I can help you with that. And it was like through that moment, it was just like, oh, the unlocking of the problem that we had been wrestling with for weeks. And this person who just showed up, that if
Yeah.
we didn't say yes to that moment, we probably wouldn't have, had that solution or that moment
Yeah.
to connect with that person. So
Yeah. No,
always say
absolutely.
yes.
Yeah, I love that. Right. Or even if you did solve it, maybe not solving it as quickly, and
I don't think
um
we would have had it solved.
no, wow, like that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. That was so impactful. And hey, that's
Yeah.
why like there needs to be a balance of like that human aspect and AI,
Yes.
right? Because
Yeah.
I don't know that ChatGPT could have figured that out,
No,
right?
that was not a chat
It
GPT
was not a
solve.
ChatGPT
No,
moment, right?
no.
Well, I wanted to give you the opportunity to let everyone know where to get WIMS, where to follow you, to
Thank
connect
you.
with you. I know you're super connected with like, your customers and all the partners and community that you've built around WIMS. So yeah, where can everyone find you and WIMS?
Yeah, you can find us online at whimsdelights.com, on our social platforms. We are now on TikTok Shop, so check us out there.
Hey.
I know, big deal. Amazon, of course, Thrive Market, and we are in about 1,200 stores across the US. So you can find us on, at your local shop, on our store locator online.
I love
And you
that.
can connect with me too on LinkedIn. Please do.
She is like so wonderful. She is so engaging.
Yeah.
And I always love getting to catch up with you, Leanne. Thank you so much for being
Yeah.
here today. I sincerely appreciate it. Your energy, it's just always good vibes.
You too. Love you.